Follow me as I explore some of the world's most interesting NFTs and their collectors on this episode of NFT Show and Tell. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of NFT Show and Tell. Today we have BurstingBagel, an NFT collector. Really excited to chat with him about his favorite NFTs, what drives his collection, and whether or not he'd ever consider selling any of them and why. So let me introduce you to BurstingBagel. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Thanks for having me here. So I got into crypto in the summer of 2020, and that was like right before Bitcoin and Ethereum took off. And so I got in, and obviously like in the beginning, beginners start with just investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I started with those two, but then I kind of went down the rabbit hole, then discovered alts and just started compounding my gains like every week, and it was very crazy, like especially when the bull run was like in full force. It was just I couldn't. So I'm actually a senior, and I was a senior in high school at the time, and it was a lot to manage because crypto is like a full-time job. There's like a new play every day and you want to stay on Twitter, so um yeah, and that ended up going really well for me. I was basically looking for new plays like every time I had some free time on my hands. And so yeah, it went really well. And now I'm taking a gap year uh to just see what I can make of it in crypto, and it's going really well for me. I still plan on going to school next year, and but yeah, I'm definitely interested in working in the space in the future. And yeah, it's just been really fun, and yeah, definitely life changing. So
That's incredible, man. So I'm sort of picturing myself in high school, and I'm going to date myself. This is like 2001, 2002. I'm a junior, senior in high school, and I'm trying to picture like, trying to pay attention to my calculus class. But wait, teach. I gotta pull the trigger on this really important trade. I mean, is that the level that we're talking about? You're having to, go to the bathroom and find a little quiet space to execute some trades.
kind of the good thing for me was in my junior and senior year, that's when COVID was, so we were online. So that was kind of a good thing where I could just like, if there's a play, I could kind of just do it from my computer. But for
I love that.
the plays that were like high conviction ones, I had to like skip class for that because I want to get set up and make sure I get a good buy and everything. But yeah, it was crazy.
If we stick for a moment on this because it's fascinating, what is that like? I mean, are you one of many students in your class who are engaging in that kind of sort of day trading behavior, or would you say that you're an outlier relative to your peers?
So I had one friend who like I wasn't into entrepreneurship like at all before I met this friend, and he was really big into e-commerce. And so that's how I got into like entrepreneurship. But then like e-com, that stuff never really worked out for me. um so then I just started going, like trying new hustles, and I was really the first person in my school to kind of experiment around with crypto. And uh I have one friend that I got him into it, and he's the person who got me into NFTs. But yeah, we were pretty much the only people in our school that were like seriously investing in the crypto and stuff.
And what's that conversation like? You're talking to your friends who are not interested in crypto or NFTs. And I find that it's difficult for me to have a conversation about almost anything else because my mind is constantly
Yeah.
in crypto NFT mode. So like, what is that like to talk to your peers? And, is it hard to get them to come to your side of the world, or has that been easy? Tell me more about that.
So this one friend, uh so I'm not sure if you've heard of the game. It's called CS:GO, or Counterstrike Global Offensive, and they have like digital skins in it. And we like, since in our teens, like young teens, we had like gambling addictions with these skins because we were gambling websites and you could just like gamble with them, and it was like a big problem. So um, he was a lot more addicted to it than I was, and I just told him, um, stop gambling and instead maybe take some of this money and just put it in an altcoin or something. And it's like almost, well, altcoins are basically like educated gambling, but you know, you have a bit better edge than just playing blackjack or roulette or something like that. So that's how I got him into it. Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating, man. So take me back to that moment. I think you said it's 2020. Who first told you about NFTs?
Um, oh yeah. So this goes back to the like CS:GO and the skin trading. So I used to like trade the digital items, which are called skins, uh, for profit. And I had this whole like strategy worked out where I'd like arbitrage items between different marketplaces. And the way I did that, well, when I did that, I was using Ethereum as a currency to like get money between the marketplaces. And then one day I just decided to like look more into Ethereum, and then I saw like the Ethereum price predictions, and then yeah, that's how I got into it.
Wow. Wow. I could almost imagine a pretty natural transition if you're already trading Counterstrike skins. I mean, in essence, that is like a fungible version of a digital object, right? And so
Yeah.
I could see from there, you can naturally jump to, hey, this is a unique token of a skin. And I could totally picture it. In fact, one of my earlier guests was on the show talking about the Ubisoft Ghost Recon Counterpoint digital collectibles that are on Rarible. Have you seen those or played with those?
No, I haven't. No.
But I imagine it's a very similar concept,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Where you have these skins, these weapon skins, armor skins, and so forth, and people are earning them and then trading them.
yeah.
Cool. So that's how you got into crypto. Well, share your screen. We'd love to see some of the NFTs that you're most excited about in your collection.
Okay. So the thing is, I have like multiple wallets because I do have like a NFT bot for Mint, so I have it like scattered. But I'll start with this NFT. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is one of my like I like this NFT collection because it's doing something different. So obviously in NFTs, there's a lot of cash grabs, you know. The team just they get all the proceeds from the mint, and then you kind of just have to hope that they're using it for like good causes and for bettering the project. So this project took a different approach. It's called the Idols. And what they did was um all of the Ethereum that they got from the mint, they staked it in uh I'm not sure if you heard of it. It's called Lido or Lido Finance, and it's like an Ethereum staking protocol, and it's like one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one. I'm not sure, but so they stake the ETH, and then all the future staking rewards accrue for each NFT. So like you can see, I've earned $31, and it's just something interesting, I thought, because it gives the NFT actual intrinsic value. And a lot of these other NFTs, they just it's hard to value them, and it's pretty much all based on hype, whereas these have some sort of intrinsic value, yeah. And there's also a token associated with it called Virtue, and they describe this cycle. It's called the virtuous cycle, where so there's all the commissions from the sales go to the token holders of this token called Virtue. And the way you get Virtue is you bond more staked Ethereum into the like idle treasury, and it's supposed to just put more Ethereum into the treasury to pay out to the NFT holders. And yeah, it's just something new where they're basically combining like NFTs and DeFi, and yeah.
So that's really interesting. I was actually just chatting with another guest from Pegasus Finance that I think had a very similar mechanic that combines NFTs and DeFi, brings them together. What attracted you to the idols? What was the thing that initially got you interested in them?
Well, actually, I'm much more into like looking for altcoins than NFTs. But recently I've been looking at like NFT more looking at like DeFi projects where that expand the use cases for NFTs, like lending your NFT out and getting a loan against it, stuff like that. I'm really interested in. So this project kind of fell into that category, and yeah, I just decided to mint some of them. See
What
how
is
it plays
the
out.
value of staking the NFT? Do you over time, of course, you accrue the virtue token and you get paid back in the staked ETH rewards, but is there some reason why they want you to keep and hold your NFT as opposed to, let's say, selling it to me and then I, of course, could just stake it?
Um, well, first of all, you don't stake the NFT itself, you stake the virtue token. But selling your
I see.
NFT is actually kind of good in a sense, because the commission goes to the virtue stakers, and so it incentivizes people to buy the virtue token, right? But the only way to get the virtue token is you have to bond more ETH into the idols treasury, and then that in turn, the interest from that goes to the NFT holders. You kind of get what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
a
and
bit
so what?
complicated, but yeah.
Yeah, but in a way, I'm curious, what is your incentive now? Like, you've minted a few of these, you are staking the token. What's your incentive now? Like, are you trying to sell your NFTs? Or is your incentive to hold on to them for as long as possible? What?
Honestly, probably just sell it. I'm more of like a profit maxi. I don't really grow that attached to NFT projects, but yeah, my intention is to sell it when it goes higher. But it was an interesting concept, so I could see it doing well long term if like NFT or NFT like where projects are combining NFTs and decentralized finance. I could see that kind of being a trend. I don't know, but yeah, I'm in it for the profit.
Well, let's stick with that because I think that's an interesting angle that I haven't had a lot of people be really open about. I'd love to learn more. When you are a profit maxi, what are the criteria you are setting for yourself to determine when you want to execute that trade? Is it a percentage increase in the underlying asset, the NFT? Is it, do you have a particular target in mind? Like, what are the criteria or principles you set up for yourself?
You can't going into it, you have to assess like how much hype there is and how much you're willing to spend really, and then you kind of just go with the flow. I mean, like with these, I don't have a exact plan, but if I was going to like ape with size, I definitely have a plan. But this is just something I'm okay with holding it like long term, I guess. But I don't know. Usually for NFTs, I wouldn't hold for more than like 2x. I'm actually pretty bad at timing bottoms and tops for NFTs. Um, yeah.
Aren't we all? I mean, that's like the big market mantra, right? Don't time the market. So I get it. You're essentially trying to get a 2x flip, and that is at least a subconscious trigger, if not a really conscious plan one. If the floor price went 2x and you saw that on, let's say, OpenSea or some other analytics platform, you would say, okay, now is the time. I'm accepting bids or offers at that level.
Yeah. But it really depends on like the project, because if I have super high conviction, I might hold it longer. I don't know. but I could never pull off something like holding a Bored Ape after mint until now, unless I minted a ton and I was like, I'll just keep one just to see how it goes.
So I've seen that pattern. Lots of people have this pattern where if you really believe in the project, you end up minting more than one. One, you kind of want to flip for 2x to cover your base cost,
Yeah.
right? And then one to hold on to see what happens. Where does that feeling come from? Is that something you learn from others in the market, or is that just something that's intrinsic to all of us?
It's just a good strategy to begin with because you keep your options open while taking your initial out. But also, I was a Bored Ape holder at one point. I didn't mint one, but I did get in. I think I bought one. I ended up having two. So I bought my first one at, I don't know if it was 19 or something. So I ended up selling it for a profit at like, uh I don't know if it was 30-ish or something, but it was good money anyways. And then so I didn't like how my first Bored Ape looked at all. So I was like, so I didn't, it wasn't even like cool to me, but it was good money. And then I ended up buying a second one that I actually liked. Like I liked the look of this one. So but then they had a run up and I was like, because with any asset, you know how there's like an opportunity cost, right? You could make more money investing that money in something else. So I was kind of thinking that way. And then so I sold the second one that I bought at like 40-ish ETH for high 60s, I think. And then like looking back and with everything that's happened with Bored Apes, I kind of wish I didn't sell because I just want to have like Bored Apes is leading the NFT space, so I kind of just want to have like exposure to them because they're leading the way. So I don't know. And something else is I actually went to ApeFest, which was like their event, like in New York during NFT New York, and it got me thinking after it ended is like I was thinking, is it really worth was that experience worth like six figures? And I was just like, I don't know. But I think it's kind of hard to put a price on like collectibles, because it's not just like what value they provide, but they just have that, collectible value. It's just hard to price them. But
Man,
yeah, I
so much
don't know.
to unpack in what you just said. I want to go in lots of different directions. One of them is that this idea of opportunity cost that you mentioned. It reminds me of a great comment my friend Phil Johnston made. He was talking about how, like in real estate, if you're not selling, you're buying. And so if you're holding on to an asset, a Bored Ape, and you're not selling it, that means that you are actively choosing to continue to buy your own ape at that price, right? And so you felt that now twice when you've flipped both of these apes. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, yeah. I just always felt like um I could be doing something better with that money. Like it was just sitting in my wallet and there's not really anything I can do with this, which is why I'm excited for these new projects where you can get loans against your NFT because then I'd be able to unlock some liquidity.
That's a really great point. I know ARCADE.XYZ is one such project. Are you familiar with any others?
I follow them. I think there's JPEG too, but I don't think they're like they've started issuing loans and stuff. And then there's another one called I think Bend DAO. Yeah. There's quite a few projects trying to attempt loans and stuff. Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how that space is going to evolve because for as much value as a Bored Ape has, because we know that their floor price, I think currently is 102 or something. How do you lend someone money on the potential for a transaction to occur? The illiquidity of the NFTs, I think, introduces a lot of really interesting challenges for any of the lending protocols In liquidity, for instance, or Lido, there's a collateralization ratio, right? And if you fall below your ratio number, your loan gets liquidated. It's that simple.
Yeah.
I'm not yet familiar with how a similar mechanic is going to work for an ape or any NFT where that number isn't clear, right? Is it the floor price, and is it the floor price relative to the underlying cryptocurrency that can purchase it, like Ethereum? There seems to be a lot of mechanics there that I'm very interested to learn more about.
Yeah, it's complicated.
So I want to come back to your point earlier about the ape party, and it's a six-figure, opportunity cost that you would have to forego. And what was the experience like? Tell us kind of what you felt, what you saw.
It's definitely like very interesting and cool to be a part of, because I haven't been around many other crypto people in my life. And then just to go there and everyone's like crypto, like familiar with crypto, it's very interesting. And it makes you feel like you're not that special, I guess, because just everyone's there, right? But yeah, it was really cool to meet other people who like share the same interests. And we had there's the yacht party, which was really cool. And then there was some warehouse party where a bunch of artists performed and stuff. But yeah, it was just a cool experience. But I don't know, like going back to what I said earlier, was I don't know if it was worth like six figures.
Well, I think one of the interesting things is that I don't know if it was worth six figures, in the sense that maybe you wouldn't pay $100,000 to go to the event, but by sheer virtue of holding the NFT, you got to go to the event and sell your NFT for 60 some odd ETH, right? So you ended up getting the benefit of both in this case.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But I do understand. I understand your point in the sense that if you weren't already an ape at an earlier price point, you might find it difficult to convince yourself to buy an ape just for the purposes of that party or series of parties. I think that's the takeaway I got from what you were saying.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I saw a tweet the other day, like with everything with the ape coin thing, like if you would have minted just one ape at 0.08, you've gotten like a ton of value from all the airdrops. Like you got the dog, like the Kennel Club one, the mutant, and now a six-figure airdrop. It's just a crazy amount of value just for minting one ape. It's crazy.
That's incredible. Well, let's switch gears. We've been talking about idols, and that led us to a lot of really interesting conversations. What else is in your wallet or other collections that you really love?
I only have one more. I won't really talk about these ones because they're just some like random mint that I was hoping would go up, and just now they're just sitting in my wallet. But these two are, I kind of like them. They're from the Edenhorde collection, and I mainly minted this one. Well, it had good hype, but I like the art as well. And my OpenSea is pretty slow. But something that this project's doing that I haven't seen a lot of other projects doing is they're really developing the lore, and they have an 8-part story, and you're able to, so they release like a part of that story every week, and then at the end usually there'll be something you can claim, so it's kind of like an interactive story. So this was part of one of the stories. It's like a necklace of some sort, but I think they've only released 2 episodes so far, so I'm not sure how these will play into the story. But yeah, I just like the art of it, and the story aspect was pretty cool.
That's really cool. So let me kind of recap what I understood. There's a series, it's the Edenhorde series, and it sounds like part of the utility of their NFT is that they are releasing almost like a serial story, right? If we take it back to way back in the day, novels and such used to be released almost like in magazine format, a chapter at a time. It sounds like they're recreating a little bit of that that method of delivering a story chunk at a time. And it sounds like at the end of each story, you get to claim perhaps an item that's mentioned in that week's or that series story. Did I get that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's really cool. So in the same way that maybe Bored Apes mint the kennels, mint the mutants, these NFT artists are also providing additional future airdrops, and it's tied to some overall lore that they're putting together around their NFT project.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really cool. And tell me, are you digging the story? Are you getting really into it?
Pretty cool. Like the lore is definitely more developed than like other projects. Usually what I see for other projects is just like a short paragraph that briefly goes over the lore, but they actually like this is the like each episode isn't like a 1 minute read. It's like maybe 5 minutes. So it goes into a lot more detail. It's not like something that's that interesting, but it's cool from like an NFT standpoint since it's like doing something different, I guess.
Right. So in other words, you're excited about the innovation that they're attempting more so than the underlying content. It's not like this is a Stephen King level piece of fiction that's got you just hyper engaged to the lore that they're building.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I think one of the interesting things that I'm picking up on this project is that it sounds like it's the NFT creators who are then extending the lore, and that's maybe one way to bootstrap a much larger and potentially future looking opportunity where they perhaps invite the community to extend the lore and create their own stories, right? And we see a little bit of that in projects like Loot and I think one called Treasure, where, hey, the NFT is just a collection of words on a black background and, hey, community, go nuts, right? And now we have, I'm forgetting the name of the project, Hyperboom or something like this, where now they're creating NFTs and stories that depict items from the Loot collection.
Cool. Yeah. Definitely something like newer that I haven't seen, but yeah, I'm excited to see where the series goes because I think they're only doing 8 episodes of it, so I don't know what will happen after the 8 are over. So
take us back to that earlier page. You mentioned that there were a few others that you minted that you kind of you picked them up and then you felt like they're just kind of sitting there. They didn't go anywhere.
Just
is Citizen Z Genesis, is that the project?
Citizens Genesis. I don't even know like what these are, but my friend was just like mint some of these and I just minted them and I didn't even bother looking into the project afterwards. So I have no idea like what the project is up to.
Well, let's just zoom in a little bit on that because I think that happens a lot in our communities, right? Someone comes in, it's a friend you trust, and they're like, "Oh, you got to get in on this. They're gonna mint out. You got to do it." And then we run in and we of course pick them up, and then they go sideways or nowhere. Is that something that you feel happens a lot, or is that just an occasional one-off?
Well, for me, it doesn't happen that often because, okay, so I kind of learned a lesson, especially with Pixelmon. I wasn't thinking things through and I lost quite a bit of money on it. So I kind of only, what I found is that I like to kind of trust my own instincts more than others. And because if you think about it, that's what NFTs kind of is. It's just other people convincing you to buy like at a higher price.
So tell me what happened with Pixelmon, because I think this is really interesting for more people to talk about some of their non-winners. What was the circumstances behind that?
So at first it kind of, at the time Pixelmon released, the market was doing pretty badly, I think, but the NFT market was doing well. but I didn't have much exposure to NFTs, and I was like, I'm not making any money right now, so I need a good play to make me some money to make up for the market not doing so well. And then I participated in the public mint, and it was a Dutch auction, and I didn't buy straight away, but I was monitoring the amount that had been minted on Etherscan, and there was a big surge in the beginning. So I was like, this is definitely selling out. And then I minted mine. But then as time went on, the amount minted like slowed down a lot to the point where you're better off buying on OpenSea than minting your own. So then it just created this like cycle where no one would mint and people were just undercutting each other on OpenSea. And yeah, those like the Pixelmon never went above what I minted them for, and it just went straight down. And then when they ended up revealing the artwork, it was just really bad, and so much that it turned into a meme. And yeah, it was just a bad experience overall, but it definitely taught me a valuable lesson to like look
What
more
were the
into the
lessons?
products.
Yeah, what did you learn from that experience?
Well, I learned that when like you're not making money, it's not really a good idea to just throw money into other things and try to make up for, you know, like when things are slow, you shouldn't really change up your strategy. And like I don't know, I didn't really put that in a good way, but just stick to like a strategy and think things through even when things are slow, I guess.
Well
Because I
said.
was just looking for a play, even if it wasn't a good one.
Well
Yeah.
said. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I know you had another tab open. Let's see what other projects you wanted to show us.
I think that's pretty much it. I can show you my like old Bored Ape if you want.
Yeah, let's see the one that got away. Tell me a little bit more about that. Do you have any regrets at selling it at 60 something?
Yeah, I do. Just because, well, they've gone up a lot too, but they turned into like pioneers. So if NFTs will win, NFTs are like super big in the future, and Bored Apes is at the top, they're gonna be worth a ton, you know. So this is the first one I bought. Let's see. So I did buy it at 19.8, and then I sold it for 40. And this was actually right before the mutants drop happened. So what happened was I bought it for 19ish, and then the mutant hype, like, it was crazy, and these went up to like 60ish, and then they dumped extremely hard. And I think I sold it like on a bit of a bounce, just because I was kind of scared. And my portfolio size was pretty small at that time, so it was just like I didn't want to have that much in a JPEG. But yeah, let's see. And then here I started. This is when I wanted to buy back in, so I started offering on the DMTs because I really liked how the DMTs looked. They're my favorite. And then I got this one accepted, this offer accepted. And yeah, this is what I got on the ApeFest with. And I really liked how this one looked actually. Um, oh yeah, I'm not sure what happened before. If I got that ape, uh, if I got that ape after mutants happened or before, but I did mint quite a bit of mutants, and this was I really regret selling the mutants because they're not as pricey as, you know, apes, and I could still have exposure to Eco Labs in the future, but I don't know why this isn't showing up.
So let me unpack that a bit more, because you're saying that you like the idea of holding the mutant apes because they're at a lower price point, which I think means that there's more volume or activity happening on that, which produces liquidity for you. Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, like I could still have exposure to like Yuga Labs, because at the time there was really there was nothing that differentiated Bored Apes and mutants at the time. Like they're still like pretty equal, and they still are to this day. it's just the like aesthetic of it that differentiates it. And like during the recent airdrop, apes got more, but like you could still get into ApeFest with the mutant. So it's just pretty much aesthetics that differentiated the yeah.
And when you had the ape, were you an active participant in their Discord and their non-IRL events or communities?
None at all really, because I was just looking for new plays all the time. I didn't see much purpose in interacting with the community, I guess, because it's like holding Bitcoin. I guess you just kind of hope it goes up in the future, but you're not really I don't know, you're not really involved with the community. You're just holding it because it goes up when the rest of the market, like it determines the market, I guess.
I was kind of picturing this community of apes and imagining that there's crazy good alpha going on in those communities, given that if they got into apes, they might have access to other really interesting things. Is that something you explored?
There was like one channel where I think people did share some alpha, but it wasn't like good enough alpha to the point where I stay just for the alpha, you know. But there was another project that I was involved in that did share really good alpha. It was not Pixelmon.
While you pull that up, I had another kind of thought. I've been dreaming of this idea of going to, what was it, NFT NYC, and there's this crazy idea I have of acquiring an ape and then auctioning it off starting at $1, no reserve. And like, I'm trying to understand, why do people get excited about that? You know, is it the idea that it's going to be sold for less than the floor price? You know, what gets people pumped about that?
Like the auction itself, or
Yeah, because all the auctions I see on OpenSea and so on, they always have a reserve price, right? And
yeah,
so it's not that much better than just making an offer on any random ape, right?
I think it's like interesting because with that mechanism, it's you kind of get to see like what people are willing to pay for your ape because it keeps on going down and down. So whereas it's a better way of creating liquidity for the NFT itself. Whereas if you're just listing it, you don't know really what people are willing to pay besides the offer. But that's usually just people lowballing you because they know they can sell that for a profit if you accept it. So I know the apes have gone to like appeared in Christie's quite like a few times, and I think they do end up getting sold for like less than what they're actually worth. It's interesting seeing like real like non NFT collectors buy on Christie's because it's like an outsider's perspective of what NFTs are actually worth, I guess.
That's a really good point. I really like this idea of someone auctioning off their ape, no reserve, on just an open market transaction, because like you say, I think it starts to show what perhaps is the real floor price,
Mhm.
whereas you know, the floor price that's currently listed anywhere is an unusual number. I think that's propped up by people's uh, future speculation on that NFT. And then on the other side, of course, all of the bids being, like you said, lowball offers, right? And so you could see the gap. Today, I think it's like the average offer is about 83 and the floor is about 102. So you could see that there is about a 20 ETH spread between the bid and the ask in the
Mhm.
market. And it'd be really curious to see, what is the true and final settlement price? What is the real floor price in the market?
Yeah, I've always had this thought like, would NFTs be priced lower if there was like instant liquidity for them, you know? Because people could just sell and it'd be like exit liquidity. But yeah, it's just interesting to see what NFTs would be worth if there's a way to get instant liquidity.
Cool. You were going to show us another project where you felt the community
Uh,
was really good and gave good alpha.
yeah, it was the Punks comic community or Pixel Vault. I don't know what they're up to nowadays, but um, I don't know if you're familiar with Beanie, um, but he's a pretty controversial figure, and he'd always like share alpha. And so there's this item, the Pixel Vault Founders DAO thing, and that got you into like an exclusive channel where people just talk about new projects and stuff. And yeah, that this investment, like for this item that got me to that channel, is probably profitable overall just from the information that they shared on in that channel, because I could mint other projects and sell them at a profit. So I think like going into that, I think these NFTs that so NFTs, like there's some NFTs out there that are like access passes into these kind of groups where they share like alpha. And I think those are interesting, but it's also pretty, I don't know if I trust them, but this one, for example, is like the biggest one. It's called Proof Collective, and there's 1,000 of them. And I actually like, I was debating minting them, and I'm really mad I didn't, but the floor price on these is insane. So you're paying like 100,000 just to get into a group where I assume they're sharing really good alpha, because I don't know what other way to justify like a floor price that's this high. So I don't know. And it's super private. Like I have no idea what they're up to in that group.
Well, we should get one of them on the show and tell us how great the alpha is. And who knows, maybe encourage more people to buy in. But as they say, the more you share the alpha, the less alpha it becomes.
Yeah.
So that's always a tricky balance.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things that I find interesting about people who actively trade NFTs and different kinds of projects like that is how you set your personal profit targets. Earlier, we talked about wanting to do a 2x, but there's a difference between wanting to do a 2x on a Bored Ape where you got it for 50 and you wanted to 2x at 100. That's a lot of patience, right? And a lot of opportunity cost. And then there's another group of people who are trying to 2x on maybe 20 different mints in a month. So how do you think about that? And where do you like to play? Is it on a sort of high volume, lots of little trades that over a month add up to your kind of revenue or income target? Or are you looking for big moves on just a few projects?
Probably big moves on like small projects, on a bunch of projects, because I feel like the majority of projects you come across, they're like hit or miss. But if you find that like one project that you just know is going to do well, then you put in, like you increase your investment on that. And then you don't have to like find all these other projects. You just have to find one good one, and then just commit to that. That's what I've been doing recently, especially after Pixelmon, because I learned that like I'd rather just find one good project and invest a lot in it, rather than hoping that like a bunch of projects will have a good outcome. Yeah.
So everyone's chasing that next Bored Ape project, right?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, this has been a really refreshing chat. I've enjoyed listening about your NFT trading strategies, some of the collections that you've enjoyed going after and flipping. Congrats on some great trades on the Bored Apes. I know there's a little regret and not being part of the community on an ongoing basis, but at the end of the day, sounds like you cleared almost 40 ETH on those two trades, which is fantastic, right? Like that's great. And that gives you the ability to continue playing in the space practically risk-free, in the sense that you've already covered your bag and now you're just riding on the cream, which is fantastic. So kudos to you on that. I'll wrap up today's NFT show and tell, and thank you, Bagel, for being with us today. Any parting thoughts for our audience?
Not really. I'm just looking forward to where this space goes. I think it's definitely like not a matter of if NFTs succeed, just like when. So like I just see this space like growing and gaining more adoption in the future. And yeah, I say just position yourself accordingly for that future.
Very cool. Well, thank you again for your time, and thank you all viewers for watching another episode of NFT Show and Tell. Stay tuned for our next episode, and as always, hit subscribe. Thanks, everyone.